Live. Now, I already started a live. I'm a little leery. This is my second time right back to back. And of course, it matters more because the time is getting closer to 12 and I have a commitment to get one in a day. So this might be short. But I don't know if you saw the first part. I was getting it in, and then I realized that my device in here, like user error, it's always a user error, was not working. And I had this extravagant tell of life and how I behave and how things go. And I just got a notice that that other piece of audio went to YouTube. So I don't know. I have to check all of this stuff out. Lesson learned is that I shouldn't be recording these this late. And that's kind of like on me. Oh, see, now I could chain up the mic. The sound was a little bit off. Things are things I get freaked out easily. My nerves, but the nerves of this black man is like I'm some old woman who's been through some things. Like I had an old Jewish friend, woman. I mean we're still friends. She has to be like 80, and we were talking. And I was like, my nerve. She said, like, oi, you sound like me. You're like a old. You're my old Jewish friend, right? And I was like, yo. She was like, your nerves, your nerves. But my nerves, I've been through some trauma. My nerves are like, ugh. So when things don't go as planned for me, it's just like I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna walk away. So anyway, at the risk of not repeating the same thing I said before, because that was live and this is live again, I want to talk about my title in the world of you can do better. And things are a little bit difficult right now. I'm getting in on later because Cyan is home, Tasha's home, they're working, I'm working, shopping, blah blah blah, and I'm in working out, the whole nine. So I want to tell you a quick story and where I have it that we can do better. I'm pro man, right? My goal for this creation in anything with media is for the embetterment of us all, but I have a distinct desire to connect with men and alter the conversation about men, men of color, black men, right? So Ice Cube, people gave him a lot of flack with this supposed deal he was making with Trump that will not manifest to be anything, which is fine. But he made it clear. He was like, I'm talking about black men. And when he said that, it was just like, see, the normal safe thing is to say men of color. No, but I'm talking specifically about black men. Men that one hue is my hue, but it can be lighter, darker, but black men in this America, right? So that's my desire, is to alter the conversation, not with anyone other than us, because I have I have my own personal issues and I have experience issues with people who look just like me. For my issues towards them, depending on what environment I've been in, it varies from different situations, stupid to like significant, right? But I have it that until we can handle that, and having it handled doesn't mean it's ironed out and there is no issue. Having it handled means we have some structure, some relatability, and some plan to which we can work on it. And until that's handled, it's less about I'm less interested, me. I am less interested in the conversation about somebody else caring about me. Got me? Like until we figure this out, we have to agree and disagree, but together about something other than how somebody else treats us. And I'm not beating us up and saying, well, no, but we have to iron some things out and agree upon what works and what doesn't work, as opposed to having other people dictate what works and what doesn't work. I heard somebody talk about freedom, and they said, speaking about us, it was a black man, and speaking about us being the descendants of slaves, and also the descendants of kings and queens 4,000 years ago, and I've said this before, how we allow 400 years to dictate. and erase the 4,000 years, right? But we don't know freedom. So we tend to believe that freedom is a car, the red bottoms, and he went into all the things, right? The Jordans, the stuff is freedom. Like I can afford this, the trips, the travel, and the home. That's the freedom. Only because we don't actually know what freedom is. Like so, we accept things, and we feel free. Some of us feel more free than others, but still, it's not freedom. And when I heard that, that's thought provoking. It's like, oh, that is kind of true. There's something true about that. It's not gravity true, right? But there's something about it that says that resonated with me. That says, wow, that is. I don't know. I don't have a history of freedom. I have a history of enjoying some of the privileges that I've created and I've been allowed to create by someone else who's telling me like, yeah, you've done well. This is what well is. This is what well is. You know, look at you. Your car's paid off. You can try. Here's your passport. You've done well, right? So that's that conversation. But when I'm thinking about we can do better, my concern is we can do better to make our women feel safe, right? So I'm gonna tell you a quick story. My boy, I have a best friend. I've been best friends with him since the 4th grade. That's a long time. I don't know how old you are. Cyan is 10 and she's in the 5th grade, so maybe 8 or 9. He just turned 46. I'll be turning 47 in a couple months. We've been friends since then. That's a lot of time. More or less, we've been like rocking. We had some times where it was like, I'm not rocking with you. You're ridiculous. He would say that, and I would say the same thing. I felt it, and it was just real, right? So there was that. But at the end of the day, that's my boy. Today was his mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Took her out. And before she got into the car, he was telling me something. He says, there was an old woman who had been dropped off with the van. I forget what the van is called. It's these vans, and they take old women to the doctors and things like that. Old people, not just women. Oh, even like when I was in a wheelchair with my leg, they took me there, and I had old women in the medic van. I forget what it's called. They pulled up, the little ramp came out the back. They let her off the ramp. Black guy. He helped her to the curb. Now he's like, yo, I'm gonna tell you something. I'll tell you a crazy story. Now with him, I don't know if I actually want to hear a crazy story. You know, I'm like, wait, because the crazy stories that he says for me have tended to be about me and like my ex-girlfriends. I don't even know if he realizes this. He's like, yo, twice he's like, I want to tell you a crazy story, yo, son. He's like, yo, you remember such and such? I'm like, yes, she was the love of my life. I wanted to marry her. He's like, yeah, I saw her on 120 something and 5th. She was at the methadone clinic. I'm like, oh, that's not a crazy story. That's a sad, heartbreaking story. And there was another story about, yo, son, I saw your ex-girlfriend. Do I want to hear this? And he's like, yo, she's on the block. She's dating this dude. He's whack. He's corny. You won. And I'm like, wait, I won? What do you mean? Yo, you winning. Look at your life right now. You win. I'm like, oh. That's heartbreaking to me. It literally was. It was like, wait, what do you mean? She's what she should be winning. I'm definitely winning, right? I was definitely winning. By then I had met my wife. Life, I went from like, it was this whole different trajectory for my life. And I was definitely winning. You know how you winning so much? It's like, I want everybody to win. I want everybody to win, but she wasn't winning. But she's winning now, right? So when he says I got a story to tell, I'm like, does it have anything to do with anyone that I used to love? Because he still has a connection to Harlem, right? I don't have as much of a connection. So he's there and he sees, he's open, he's out there, right? He's like, no, it has nothing to do with you. Tell me the story then. So he's telling me the story. The guy helps her out. It just snowed Wednesday. It's going on a week. You know, the snow is still there. So I'm trying to finish his story. I'm like, so did he take him? He's like, no, he took her to the curb. I'm like, did he help her to the, he was like, yeah, he got her on the curb and then he left her. I'm like, he left her on the curb? You got to take her into the middle of the block because the snow. He was like, son, let me tell my story. So I'm like, all right. So the man helps the woman out, gets her onto the curb, puts the little ramp back in, and drives off. This woman is still not safe, says my boy. So he gets out of the car because he's watching it, and he goes to her and he says, "Let me help you. Excuse me, do you, ma'am?" Now I'm third person because he told me. I'm saying what he told me, and of course it's not verbatim. Can I help you to the curb? Can I help you to the sidewalk? She's like, no, 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 I got it. He's looking at the situation. It doesn't look good, right? He's looking at the situation, and she's like, no, no, thank you. No, I got it. I got it. So I know where the story's going. He's like, yeah, but you gonna? He's like, listen, my mom lives in the building right here. Now this is a legit dude. His wife is like a principal. He has two kids. I'm not gonna say you don't get any better, but this is a safe deal, right? This is a safe deal. She can't be okay with him helping her. He notices a young woman. He says, excuse me, can you help her? Because she's not letting me help her. So the young woman helps, and the woman allows her to help him. And then she goes about her business. So he gets back in the car. He's talking to me, and he says, yo, son, this is crazy. I'm like, well, you can't help her. You can't really help because she doesn't know. She doesn't know. He's like, but it's me. I'm like, yeah, I know you. I said, but what do you think? What do you think the person who wanted to hurt her would say? What do you think he would do? You think he would just shove her and knock her over? Or do you think he would help her to the curb? Right? And this reminds me of something that my late wife said to me. When I moved from Harlem to the East Village, it was more than just different people. It was just a different vibe. And I just was, stop, Sai. It was just a different vibe. You should be asleep. See, this is when I tell you to go to bed. It was just a different vibe. So I would move from uptown to downtown, and I was accustomed to talking to people just out of my comfort. And people didn't speak. Now, mind you, there were 130 apartments. We were like one of two black families in that building, right? So this is who's not speaking. I had people not open the door for me. I had people deliberately close the door in my face, and then I went in my pocket and opened the door with my key. All of that type of stuff. All kinds of things, lessons to be learned. But I was once, she told me, you don't speak to people. Don't speak to women. Women have a fear of men. And I didn't understand. I really didn't understand that. I wasn't responsible for that, and I didn't really get that. And she says, what do you think a person on the elevator would say? I was like, well, I'm like, the weather, but I'm thinking I'm making a woman comfortable. Like, I think because I'm having a conversation, I'm easing her. Like, I'm not some crazy killer or rapist or what have you. And she says, well, what do you think a rapist would say? What do you think a rapist who got on the elevator would say to the woman? And I was like, I don't know. She was like, yeah, a rapist would say hello. A rapist would tell you about the weather. A rapist. And that was the first time that I had been given a little bit the mind of what a woman has to experience. Not all women walk around with that same fear. I might be saying something right now that's like, son, I don't know what you're talking about. But that was the first moment that I got it. And of course, I've taken courses in the university, women's rights, and really see the 5 points of things that, say white men who are photographers who tell women how to pose and how to look and look away and hold your finger here. Like it's 5 points of look in the sky like you're in ecstasy at nothing because you can't look at the camera because that takes away, that has power. Like learning all these structures that are conventions for women to actually have to take on. You don't have to, but it happens. And what I got from this situation with him is that there has to be some intention around having women feel safe around us. And I don't know what that answer is. I know that women that come into contact with me feel safe. So I say. I don't know at the end of the day what it is, but it's something that really impacted me when he said that. And we started to have a conversation about it. And it's to be continued. You know, it's really something to be continued. It's something that I'm looking at that doesn't necessarily work. That doesn't work for a young man to not be able to help a woman, older black woman. A young black man can't help an older black woman get past a pile of ice. And so what I said to him, I was like, well, that's because of the things we do. And he said, that's some of us. And I said, well, if it's one of us, then it's all of us. He's like, what? I was like, if I say if it's one dirty cop and it's 100 cops and they let that one cop get away with it, then they're all dirty. So if there's one person who's going to push that old woman over and harm her, then we have got to take ownership of, I am that person. I'm that person as well. Now, that might be an extreme thought to take on, but I will take that on, because until we have women be safe, and somebody called me a beta the other day. I was like, a beta? You sound like a beta as opposed to alpha and beta. I was like, well, I had to figure out how I felt about that. And I was like, whatever works, however you feel, it's okay. But if we're not taking care of our women, then what are we leaving? Who do we leave? And not saying to the women that you can't take care of yourself. Of course, you raise your kids. Of course, all the things that you do. Not trying to take away or anything. I'm not doing any of that, right? I know you got your hustle, you got your skills, you got your education, your job. You don't need no. I got it. I will never argue that away from anybody. I'm talking to men. We got to take care of. We got to have our women feel safe and empowered. And it, not saying it doesn't happen. It happens a lot. But when it doesn't happen, it impacts, and it's like dominoes, and we got to feel the impact of that, right? It can't just be like, well, I know I take care of my woman. That's nice. What about that old woman that was crossing the thing and was going to get knocked down and trip and fall? Maybe nothing was going to happen. Maybe he could have sat in the car and watched and talked to me as she fell, right? But him trying to go and assist her, and the fact that she couldn't, and she's right though, right? She's right. Get off me. Don't touch me. I don't know what you want to do to me. That's unfortunate. And that's created. And that's something that I can take responsibility of having had created. And if I take responsibility for having had create that space, then I could take responsibility in uncreating that space, right? I could be in that conversation of what does it look like to have her feel safe, to have her feel protected, to have her be safe. And that was it. So that was just something that came up for me today. And that was interesting. I had some other stuff. My sound's been acting a little bit crazy today, so I'm not 100% sure about what's happening. So I'm not going to go in today. I think my memory card is, something happened. It said it was defective. I hope this recorded, but that's just where the space is for me. Just looking at how that works and what about that works and what doesn't work. Because it's a lot about it that doesn't work. It doesn't work to have our women be afraid. There's so many other things that we can focus on outside of fear. And of course, there's somebody, when I don't feel any fear, it's okay. But I know I do. I feel certain fears that are like a waste of time. It's a waste of my time to have a fear about that, but that doesn't lessen it anymore. It's actually there. It's just a real fear. Lights, red and blue, sometimes can trigger something, right? Do I faint and fall to pieces? No. But I look over my shoulder, I feel a little bit of in my gut. That's honest. It's honest. Because I know with those lights, I know how that can end, even if I have nothing to do with what's going on. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up right now. I appreciate you hanging out with me. We got to do something. Something has to happen to have these women feel safe. And maybe I'm catastrophizing that. Maybe that's just like, son, it's not that serious. But it was serious today. You feel me? It was serious today. So then it can't be, it's not that serious. It can't be, you know. I remember my mother, rest her soul, she was walking on Riverside Drive and she said she saw these two kids on a bike. And they were riding around her, black kids. One dude got real close and he snatched her chain off. She had this old school rope chain with a Buddha on it. He yanked it off and it almost knocked her to the ground and popped it off her neck. Nothing to be done. They weren't local. It was just, you know, I get, you know, you sleeping. If you get caught sleep, all the stuff that comes up. If you get caught sleeping, you get slept on. Really? That's an easy fix. My mother was an elderly. She wasn't elderly. She was 50 something, 60. Fat. She wasn't going to be able to catch you. She was sweet. She was a sweet victim. Nice gold chain, having a good time in her life. So, you know, I think about those type of things. We are raised in a world where it's women and children first and men have to step to the side. But if we make sure the women and children are safe, then we can actually get to what we need to get to. There's a conversation about men being first, which that's an interesting conversation. It is. But I don't want to be first and have them be unsafe. So I will be the beta. I'll be the beta, dude. That's okay with me. I'll be the beta. If the alpha means that I'm in the front and I eat first and women and children are not first, I'm getting on the raft. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be safe. Then I could pass. I'll be all right. Anyway, listen, love your family, love your daughters. It is getting closer to Christmas. It's actually getting really close to New Year's, and I was getting close to Christmas first and then the New Year. Life is it's moving quickly. 2021 will be here in a second. In just about a second. What's the one thing you want to take care of? What's that one thing that was left over from this year? Because I believe that a lot of things got put on hold this year. But what's that one thing? Right? Like real talk, legitimately one thing in your life that would actually alter who you are right now. If that accomplished. And it could be money. But money is so corny. And it's right. It's like, yeah, it's corny if you got, yeah. What do you want to do with the money? Right? Like, what is it you want to do with the money? Do you want the money? I want to make $1 million. Okay, great. You know, I want my money here. Okay, great. That's official. But what is it that you're going to do with that that's going to make an impact? Right? If you lose 75 pounds, that's going to make an impact. You know, I don't know. What are my goals is I actually want to lose 15 more pounds, right? I want to lose 15 more pounds. And I want to edit my book. There's nothing stopping me from doing that but me. You know, that's the competition. That's the enemy I sleep with. Me. I could be as mad at my girlfriend as I want to be. She is not the enemy. She is not the sleeping with the enemy. That's me doing that. You feel me? That's all me. And that's how I feel about almost everything. Everything is me. I'm responsible for that. Before I look at anyone else or any other situation to see how that has prevented me from doing anything, because that makes a nice story. But if I don't look at myself as the primary reason that these things aren't happening, and I'm talking about with reading situations and difficulties and dyslexia and gray matter that actually doesn't charge. I've been connected and read and had in the scene, like the gray matter is not connected. Yeah, I got it. I understand. You know, that's my thing. But all of that, here I am. Here I is. You know what I'm saying? None of that's the reason. It's scheduling and commitment to the schedule. It's me. It's nothing else. It's nothing else. So what's your thing? What are you gonna make happen? What are you up to for the year? What's one thing? What's one thing that you could give me? I could be like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna steal that from you, and I'm gonna talk about it. But I'm not gonna give you any credit. Anyway, that's I'll give you credit. Love, love, love your daughters. Love your family. Love your sons. And love yourself. Remember the oxygen mask, right? You ever seen that thing? Put the oxygen mask on yourself and then you put it on your kids. Put it on me first and then my kids. I'm so prone to put it on her, tell her to take something and I'll get what's left. I'm going to die. She's going to survive and she's going to be without me. So then she's going to die. That's not cool. Oxygen mask. You notice how I just left my girlfriend out of the whole situation. She's going to fend for self. She has her own oxygen tank. She'll handle her handle. That's not cool. But love, love, love your family. Love yourself. Love yourself. Figure out what that means. Because it's not something that gets pushed in our society. Like loving yourself. Especially as a parent. But I would imagine at all, right? You know, when do you and not be selfish? When do you love yourself and it's not considered to be you being selfish? So love yourself first. And I just want to end right here. You know, love yourself first. And then you can love everybody else. But what's the one thing that you want to get involved in this new coming year? Like, what is it? What's the business? What's the book? What's the leaving of the relationship? What is that's always is that always will that ever leave me? That idea that I'm just gonna get on this boat with my daughter and my laptop and we're just gonna float away somewhere. That's just my condition. It's a condition. I share it and it means nothing. That's just my condition. It's just my condition. It's my condition. And it has never left me. It has something, I'm sure, some doctor would be like, oh, that is the such and such condition because this happened with your dad, and this is why you could never fully commit to such. I don't know, but no matter how great it is, no matter how fantastic things are, at any moment, it gives me comfort to think that I could get on a boat with all my stuff. I'm like, take my microphone and my camera and my computer, and I'll do podcasts on a boat with my daughter. Whoever can't fit, no one else will fit, and it'll be fine. I'm going to work on that. That's something I'm going to work on this year. You know, maybe I'll get married this year. And that's real talk. That's like something I've been talking about. That's in the ether. That's in the world. I'm still concerned about money. Money, I don't care what anybody says. There's nobody who can convince me of anything other than the fact that marriage is a business and money has to be right, because 3 out of 5 marriages end in divorce and it's all over money. And it doesn't seem like money, but it enters the mind of women. And women don't talk about it. Women come across very innocent and sweet. But, you know, it ain't. When it's not right, it's not right. And then when the money's not right, I don't know what else can be, because sex is never that good over the long haul. Maybe. Anyway, I'm going to stop right now. I'll see y'all. I guess I'll see you later today because it's after 12. And I'll be back early. I got to do it earlier. But anyway, take good care of yourself. Love, love, love your family. Love your daughter. But love your daughters. Love your daughters. I think things would be so much different if we just took that on. Yes, and if you don't have a daughter, go get one. Make it happen. Chop, chop. It's late. Get to work. Don't be doing this. Go in the bedroom and make peace. Thank you for hanging out with me.